And welcome to another episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Sklansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And today we're going fishing.
Well, no, we're supposed to be on a couples retreat.
Oh, okay, then we're going catfishing. Get it? Catfishing?
I get it. I've never actually been like fishing for catfish. Like we've done trout.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been fishing in lakes before for nothing in particular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, trout fishing was fun growing up, but we never went out to catch the whopper, the big honkin' fish.
No, the legendary fish, so to speak. I want to find something legendary.
The Loch Ness Monster?
I mean, sure, I'd rather find Bigfoot. I think he'd be fun to hang out with.
Yeah, he likes Jack Link's jerky.
Yes.
From what I could tell from commercials.
So this week we are talking season 2, episode 20, The War of the Simpsons. And you know what? The title is a little bit misleading because, well, maybe not. I guess there's battles between, Marge and Homer and the kids.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would have thought War of the Simpsons would be like Grampa Simpson versus, I guess I don't know. I guess maybe I really can't think.
I would think they would all be like fighting each other.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, like an individual, like War of the Simpsons. So you got, it's like World War II of the Simpsons. You got Bart's corner and Lisa's corner and Marge's corner and Homer's corner and Maggie's corner. And they're all fighting for something.
But that's not the case.
No, it isn't.
This aired on May 5th, 1991.
May 2nd.
Or May 2nd. I said 5th, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I saw the 5 for May, and then I read it again as the 5th because my brain is stupid. Recap. Homer and Marge attend a marriage retreat where Homer catches a legendary fish and maybe more. Chalkboard gag. I will not do anything bad ever again. That is a lie.
Yes. That is. Well, I mean, I figured at this point the teacher's like, okay, Bart, we don't know what you did, but you did something bad. And to punish you, we're going to make you write that you won't do anything bad ever again. And we're going to hope this is the last chalkboard gag.
Which we know it's not. Although, what was it? Last week did not have a chalkboard gag?
It didn't. So that week he must not have done anything bad.
Yeah, maybe he behaved himself for a week.
Yeah, that might have been why. We think we figured out with the whole no chalkboard gag. Bart was a good kid that week in school.
Until, we get to like seasons like 20 through now where they don't do chalkboard gags anymore.
Well, as often.
Couch gag this week. The Simpsons sit on the couch and Homer knocks them off one by one until he's the only one sitting on the couch. And this is a repeat from Bart Gets Hit by a Car. I thought this one was new, but I guess it's not.
It was not.
That makes me sad.
Yeah. So, episode opens on a plate of mini sandwiches on a platter that says, "Enjoy our party snacks." And I think that's perfect. Yeah. I think cutting up the sandwiches into little bits and spelling something out on a platter.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's kind of a smart way to do it. And Homer calls them, what is this? Horse divorce? Horse divorce.
And it's what is it? Horse divorce?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. God, why is my brain not working today?
Because Homer had got a hold of your mouth.
Clearly.
Yep. So I like how this is kind of their first party they've ever thrown.
Yep.
And Homer needs to behave. So Homer promised Marge that he wouldn't eat like anything.
Well, maybe it was he wouldn't eat everything.
Everything, yeah. And he tells Marge that never happened, which, to be fair, Homer might have selective memory when it comes to his stomach.
Yeah. He's like, that never happened. You're imagining that. And it's like, I'm pretty sure he did, but, stomach overruled his brain.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And so as we kind of learn, we do believe, I think this is their first house party they've ever thrown,
Yep.
because it's kind of a thank you to all their neighbors and friends for getting friends with them. And then Homer's like, what about that bash with the champagne and the holy men? And, well, to be fair, they technically did throw that party. But it might not have been a house party.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it while watching the episode before this hit. I'm like, well, doesn't a reception technically count as a party that they threw? And then Homer mentions the wedding, but not in that way. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you threw a party. Now, you threw a wedding.
Yep. Oh yeah. Now that's something that I had to me and my wife had to put together, and you know.
But it wasn't at your house.
But it wasn't at our house, and this is kind of a house party where they're gathering friends and I guess family. I don't know. Was there any real family there? Like Grampa, I don't think
Selma
was there.
and Patty were there.
Yep, that's right. Patty and Selma were there. So some family showed up as well.
Marge, so the kids are there, and Marge sends the kids to bed, and Bart replies, "You can't have any fun in bed." Which Homer responds to, "When you get older, you'll know better." And I think you know what my first thought was on that. And then
I think that's what everyone's. Okay, so depending on if you're a kid watching this as a young kid, or a grown-up watching this, I think your minds are going two different directions.
And then Homer daydreams about eating a sandwich in bed. I'm like,
well, that's obviously what I was thinking. What were you thinking?
You know what I was thinking.
Okay.
So it doesn't seem like much food on the table from a few shots. And you're right. They had the party sandwiches. Maybe all the food was in like the kitchen.
Maybe. I mean, but the funny thing was it seemed like Marge was pretty much done and getting the room ready, but from the door shot to the dining room, it just looked like there were like 2 or 3 things on the table.
I mean, maybe more of it was in the kitchen, because I know when I've been to house parties or I've thrown house parties, most of the food is in the kitchen.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess on the tables and counters and stuff like that.
It's all around the place. So maybe they had more food in the kitchen. We just don't see it. So Homer puts on. So we get the doorbell, and they're not ready for the Flanderses. But as Marge answers the door, Homer puts on Tom Jones's "It's Not Unusual" at the beginning of the party. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. That song. That's the only. Don't worry. That's all I'll sing of it. Nobody wants to hear me sing. But other songs that we hear throughout the party include Dusty Springfield's "The Look of Love," which was written in 1967 or came out in 1967. Casey and the Sunshine Band's "That's the Way," I like it. And Glenn Campbell's "Wichita Lineman." So they got a decent mix of music for their party.
I mean, they grew up in that age, and I think as we kind of learned from our parents, driving, in the car and stuff like that.
All the time.
Exactly. So I feel like, their generation and the people that they invited, that was their music. So it was kind of cool that they got to listen to it. And so Ned, as he walks in, is like, "Hey, do you mind if I act as bartender?" And because Ned has a PhD in mixology, which I think is pretty funny. Yeah. I guess I want to know what other degrees he has, because I feel like he went to college I guess we did learn he was a party animal in college.
Yeah. Did we never learn what he actually went to college for, though, do we?
No, but I guess he was a bartender at some point, because, a lot of college kids will take mixology classes. Yeah. And then I like how Moe's kind of walking in behind. It's like, college boy. Because, Moe should have been acting bartender at the party.
But here's the thing. Clearly, Moe didn't go to college, but you don't need to go to college to be a bartender.
No, but you do have to go to a school.
I mean, you have to get your bartender. You have to get a liquor. Well, you don't have to get a liquor distribution license, but you do need to get like a bartender's license, so you're allowed to mix alcohol.
Yeah,
at least here in Wisconsin. I don't know. I'm sure it's the same everywhere. Maybe. I don't know.
And so we had a movie moment this episode here. So Flanders making a drink, mimicking moves from the movie Cocktail.
Never seen it.
I've seen it once. It was a pretty good movie. But, so Flanders makes his punch. It's called Flanders Planters Punch.
Yep.
And it kind of tastes like there's no alcohol in it,
Which,
because those fruity.
believe you me, those are the dangerous kinds of drinks. Because you're like,
Yep.
oh, there's no alcohol in this. I can keep drinking. And then you're like 4 or 5 in, and then you're like Homer by the end of this party.
Exactly. And so I wrote down the recipe. So it's 3 shots of rum, a jigger of bourbon, and a little dab of roux of creme de casse for flavor.
What is that last one? Creme de cassis or whatever he says?
Yeah, I didn't look it up, but I'm guessing it's like creme de menthe, which is, a minty flavor, or there's a lot of creme. Like there's like a creme de banana
Ooh,
that I had out in Colorado, and that was really good.
Creme de cassis is a sweet, dark red liqueur made from black currants. I don't know.
All right.
So it's basically, excuse me. I think it's like maybe like blackberry brandy, maybe kind of.
Which kind of leads to that whole fruit punch taste of the...
Yeah, it's kind of like a grapey kind of flavor, it looks like.
And maybe by the time this episode airs, while you guys are listening to this episode, me and Robert might be just sipping on this drink that Flanders invented.
I have one of the ingredients for this. I'm almost tempted to buy the rest of it.
Yes.
And see if I can make it.
I think we should.
What's a jigger? What's a jigger of bourbon? Is that like just a shot?
Maybe we'd have to.
I've heard the term jigger before for like in terms of alcohol. Because that's what like bartenders use to like pour their shots. And it's usually less than a shot. I'm going to go with 3 shots of rum, a shot of bourbon, and just a little dab of creme de cassis.
All right. So maybe, just maybe, we're just sipping on some Flanders Planters Punch.
So Marge tells Homer to go easy on the alcohol, because Marge, that's how she pronounces alcohol. The last time she used the term, she is half in the bag herself, and there's no disgrace like Homer. So... apparently, both Marge and Homer have a tongue for the sauce.
Yep, and if you remember from There's No Disgrace Like Home, that was like a spiked fruit punch.
It was, yeah.
And so I kind of like the symmetry between this episode and that episode. And it almost leads you into kind of the plot of the episode where they go on a marriage retreat. Because in that episode, obviously, Marge makes a fool of herself. But in this episode... Homer's the one making a fool of himself.
So we get a couple shots of the Simpsons house outside during the party, and I noticed somebody parked their car on the lawn. And there's plenty of room on the street, it looks like. So was that Barney? Because we know Barney was there.
Yeah.
Or was that Moe? Or like, obviously the Flanders didn't do it because they're their next door neighbors. They probably just walked over.
Now, but where the car is parked, they would have had to be one of the first people there because all the other cars are kind of blocking the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it went Flanders and then Moe showed up.
So maybe it was Moe's car, which I guess I could see Moe doing something like that, but who does that? Have you ever done that? I've never parked. I think I've parked on somebody's lawn like once, but they told me to park there.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't see Homer and Marge telling people where to park. So whoever's car that was, maybe Moe's, was just like, screw it, I'm going to park on the lawn.
Damn.
It angers me.
Damn straight.
Who does that? Moe is talking to a woman and who is friends with Marge and that woman's husband. And the reason I pointed that out is because later in the episode, Homer is yelling at a guy and he happens to be the same guy in that shot. So when Homer is yelling at him, like, I saw Moe talking to those two people. I'm like, who are those people? We never see them.
Nope.
We've never seen them in any episode. And then Homer is yelling at the guy. It's like, oh, I only met you a few hours ago. So I rewound. I'm like, oh, that's who those two people were.
See, the Simpsons can have friends outside of Springfield's normal people, apparently.
And then they never show up again. So then we cut to, so they're painting across the room and we see Barney hitting on Patty and she maces him and he's got a shirt hanging out of his fly. I love the fact that Barney's reaction is, oh, is that a new kind of mace?
Well, obviously we learned way back in high school that he just pretty much hits on everybody. But the funny thing is did he completely black out after his, picture to himself a beer that he actually went on a date? with
Patty?
No, with Selma. Because remember, Patty was with Skinner.
That's right. It's possible.
I mean, I could see Barney getting blackout drunk.
I mean, we only saw him with the one pitcher. It doesn't mean he didn't have more.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's an alcoholic.
I'm saying he probably got blackout drunk and completely forgot he went on a date with Selma.
Yeah.
All right, so Homer asks Dr. Hibbert if he's enjoying the party, and the good doctor isn't because someone put a fake ice cube with a fly in it in his drink. And I love how drunk Homer is, and he's like, I did it.
And I think I've seen them around, but I've never seen anybody do that at a party where they put a fake ice cube with a fly in it in somebody's drink. I've heard of stories where it's happened, but I've never actually been at a party where it's happened.
Now, the next bit, I don't know if is actually true. So Hibbert explains that a real fly would have been more sanitary than the fake ice cube.
Well, so he was talking about all the different chemicals that they use to make the fake ice cube and fake fly. So honestly, a real fly might actually be more sanitary just on the basis that they're really small creatures. Yeah. People do eat flies.
But they land on shit. So
that's true. But if it's a fly within a hole, like let's say you leave something out and a fly just like magically appears, that fly is probably pretty clean.
Yeah. I've actually had a grasshopper in a beer once.
Like a real grasshopper?
Yeah, we were at an outdoor festival and it literally hopped into my beer.
Oh my God. I've actually eaten was that cricket or is it grasshopper?
Probably grasshopper.
At Safeco Field in Seattle, they deep fried grasshopper, and it was weirdos. I ate one. I only ate one, and not because the taste was bad. It was super spicy.
That's because you need to cover up the taste of grasshopper.
All right. They're also kosher, by the way. Oh, grasshoppers are kosher.
Perfect. All bugs are, I'm assuming.
I think they are.
So Bart sneaks into the party and rearranges the sandwich to say, "Boy, our party sucks."
Bart, that's amazing.
Now, were there extra sandwiches that kept getting put onto the plate in the letters format, or is just no one eating the sandwiches?
I mean, we see people drinking. I have to imagine people had to have eat those. So maybe they had like extra platters that spelled it out.
Maybe.
Like, because I can't imagine you're going to keep bringing out like little sandwiches and just keep making the same thing. I would just be like, here, have some sandwiches.
Exactly. So I might go on to the side that maybe no one was eating their food because they're the Simpsons and they don't know where everything's been. So Homer sees Bart and asks him to do that thing that he does that is so cute. And Bart's like, what's the thing? Do the thing, Bart.
What? What thing?
And then then Bart doesn't know what Homer's talking about, so Homer just sends him to bed. He's like, all right, you know what?
Go to bed.
I'm too drunk. Go to bed.
Oh my God. That's a great bit. I love that. Because, drunk people are like, do the thing, the thing. And people are like, what are you talking about? The thing that you do with the thing. Like,
exactly.
So Homer is, drunk and he puts a lampshade on his head. And to be fair, I think I've actually done this at a party once.
Because you were drunk?
Guy. Yes, very drunk.
Okay.
And so we see so he like jumps on the couch and then he falls off because he's drunk. And Marge goes, her disgruntled noise that she makes. So she's not happy that Homer is drunk because she told him not to drink. So we see Marge throwing coats upstairs. So I feel like at this point, I would feel like everybody who's at the party is at the party.
Yeah, it just seemed really weird. There was a lot of coats, man. There were a mountain of coats.
And speaking of which, I don't know who put Maggie to bed. Well, no. So when the kids go upstairs, they all go upstairs. So Bart and Lisa had to put Maggie to bed because the Marge and Homer didn't because they were greeting their guests. The kids went up by themselves. So Maggie made her way into the coat room, randomly grabbed a purse, randomly grabbed money out of it. It looked like it was like $8 or $9. I saw 5 and a few ones. And she just She balls it up and tears it and throws it in the air like confetti.
Well, kids like paper. They like ripping paper.
They do.
But
how did she get, like, who didn't put Maggie to bed?
Well, we all know Maggie is good at escaping her crib.
That is true.
So that's fine. I don't know how she opens the door unless Bart or Lisa just didn't close Maggie's bedroom door all the way.
Probably not.
And
well, I think we've seen in future episodes her able to like swing herself to like the doorknob and open the door.
Yes, and as we all know, that is baby inaccuracy. I have never seen my baby do that.
But how do you know he's never done it?
Oh, because I have a camera in his room.
Does it record?
It does.
Oh, do you watch recordings?
No, but I know it records.
But see, you don't know. You might go to bed or you might not be paying attention and all of a sudden he's out the door. Probably not. We cut back downstairs and Homer is berating the husband of one of Marge's friends who we saw talking to Mo, which I mentioned earlier. And he goes, "You stink. You and your whole lousy operation stinks. I quit." And the guy's just like, "Oh, please don't do that." And Homer's like, "All right." And he must have been so drunk he thought he was talking to Burns.
I guess. I just think well, we don't know their exact conversation before that quote, but I
feel like Homer just randomly went up to him and then just started doing that though.
But that's definitely a drunk thing to do.
Yes.
Like,
it's so, I'm just like, oh my God, that's great. I don't recall in my past college/post-college days of getting so drunk that I randomly yelled at somebody who had nothing to do with anything.
So Homer, in his drunken state, checks out Maude's cleavage at the table. So he's at the table, and he walks over. He's like, "Can you get me some peanuts?" "No, I want the ones at the bottom." And so she leans over, and
why would you need, like, here's the problem with that. Why would you need to lean over? It doesn't seem like it's that big of a bowl of peanuts.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I don't quite understand why, but I do think, obviously, in Homer's drunken, okay, tell me if I'm wrong, but
you're wrong.
But is that a dress that you would think Maude Flanders would actually wear?
Maybe, I don't know.
It just seems so out of character, and we'll discuss what she was wearing later in the episode, but it to me, it seemed kind of out of character for a church, the heavily churchy type person. But yeah, Homer, and Marge is watching this, and she's like, "Okay, I'm out. This is it." And so as they're leaving, everyone's leaving, and Dr. Hippo tells Marge that if she wants Homer to live through the night, roll him onto his stomach. Then Dr. Hibbert, whispers in the ear, "Remember, I said if."
I wrote, that's pretty dark, man. Like, he's a doctor.
Isn't
the Hippocratical oath do no harm?
Yeah, I feel like Dr. Hibbert should have been the one helping Homer, but he was an ass. He did put a fly in his drink, so
that's true.
That's just low, putting a fly in someone's drink. So
fake fly.
Yeah,
it was a fake
fly, sure. So in the morning, or no, not in the morning. So Marge tells Homer that she's never been so embarrassed in her life and leaves him on his back. You don't want to.
Well, she couldn't flip him over. She tried, and then she's like, "Screw it! You embarrassed me. If you die, you die."
Yeah. So I wrote, is this sort of something we could blame on Flanders? Because he did start the best, apparently, fruit punch cocktail in the world. And
no, I don't blame Flanders at all. It's a party. You should have a cocktail or two. Homer doesn't have any self-control.
No.
He needs more. He lacks discipline.
But I wonder if Homer was drinking straight up beer, he would not have gotten as drunk than drinking hard liquor.
I don't know. We've seen him get drunk off of beer.
Yeah, we have.
The next morning, Homer is still lying on the floor, and Marge is cleaning up the night before from the party, and she's vacuuming, and she hits Homer with the vacuum to wake him up.
Was it just to
And
wake him up, or was it just because she was vacuuming the area and she didn't give a crap if he was lying there?
That's possible. And I like how the fact that Homer wakes up and there's just an outline of where he was laying. But I feel like even overnight, I guess Homer's overweight, so maybe it would leave an impression, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So Marge yells at Homer to get in the car so they can argue, and she turns on the Mexican hat dance. And so the kids couldn't hear them fighting, and the kids are looking out the window and they can hear the music, and they're like, oh, they're fighting again.
Yep. And so
Lisa's like, I can't listen to that song anymore.
Yep. So the song is also used for the same purpose when Homer makes plans with a doctor to defraud his company's insurance to pay for his baldness cure in Simpson and Delilah.
Interesting. Okay. So they're in the car, and Marge asks Homer if he remembers how he acted during the party, and Homer, thinks about it, and he imagines, he was like the life of the party, and they're all sitting down and having a sophisticated dinner, and that's a reference to like some New York thing. I looked it up. I didn't feel like writing it down because I didn't even get the reference. And then his daydream kind of turns around and to where he's looking down Maud's dress, and it goes back to Homer and Marge in the car, and Marge is angry. And so we get a literary moment number one. He envisions the witty conversation and a sophisticated atmosphere akin to the Algonquin Round Table, which is a bunch of like different New Yorker style like restaurants and actors and that like sophisticated people. I have no idea what that is. Not a freaking clue.
But if you guys want to look it up out there, feel free. All right. So Marge says she didn't think there was a line Homer could cross to make her not love him. But not only did he cross that line, he threw up on it.
So did he throw up during the party?
No, man. Homer can hold his booze. Because if he passed out on the middle of the floor and was there in the morning,
yeah,
I don't think he threw up. So
yeah,
good for Homer. I don't think I could have done that. I don't think I could have done that. So Homer's trying to explain to Bart why he acted the way he did, and Bart understands why, because Homer was wasted. I didn't even know Bart knew that word.
Well,
or maybe he did.
10 and a half. So here's the thing. Bart's 10 and a half in that age range, and Homer drinks. The kids know he drinks. So I could see him knowing the word wasted just in that context. I don't think I really started using that word in that context until maybe like high school.
Yeah.
Or at least understanding it, maybe like 8th grade.
So Bart says he has the same amount of respect for Homer as he did before, and he never will. And Homer took that as a compliment. Bart really has to... Okay, so if you have zero respect for your dad, that's definitely something a parent needs to, recognize and try to change.
But Homer does not recognize the fact that Bart doesn't respect him.
Yeah, apparently. Marge in the car says to Homer, you know what? I'm going to church without you. Pretty much all our friends and family that were at the party are going to be there.
Church.
Or at church, and I don't want to see you. Like, I don't want them to see you there after the night that we just had. And so Reverend Lovejoy is introducing new church pamphlets that include Bible bafflers, Satan's boners, which this one is not new. This one, this was in the Homer and Lisa versus the 10 Commandments. Remember when she went in to see about how stealing cable, and there were the Satan's boners pamphlet was actually on Reverend Lovejoy's desk in that episode. So maybe, I guess, to be fair, he might not have introduced it to the congregation yet. Yeah. But to us, that one is not a new pamphlet.
But maybe to the congregation.
It is. So, and then there was, good grief, more Satan's boners. Okay. And for the teens, it's not cool to fry in hell.
It's not.
No, you don't want to fry in hell.
They're kind of wrapping up the service, and Homer runs in, and he kind of runs next to a guy that looks like Hitler who's in the church, which I don't know if we see this character again, But yeah, dude definitely looks like Hitler. So Reverend Lovejoy, conveniently, I might add, announces a couple retreat for marriages that are hanging on by a thread or for those in need of a tune-up. And I get it was a way to drive the plot, but we never hear about them doing this retreat before. So I felt like it was a very cheesy way to advance the plot.
Well,
I don't know.
unless Ned and Maud, or at least, okay, so maybe not Maud, but definitely Ned was told Reverend Lovejoy that the Simpsons were in the midst of a fight because maybe he heard the shouting next door or something crazy. And so Reverend Lovejoy is like, well, I am a reverend and I do marriage counseling, so why don't we do a retreat?
But this clearly isn't their first retreat, as we'll learn.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I don't know. It felt to me it felt a little cheesy just to do it there. And maybe it's just the way it just happened in the show. And so Homer goes up to Reverend Lovejoy, and the Reverend's like, "Oh, are you going to sign up for the retreat?" And Homer is like waffling on it, and Marge just goes and signs up for the retreat, and Homer's like, "Are you crazy?" No, she's not, because you guys definitely need this marriage counseling.
Yep. And it's been a while. So in a lot of the episodes that we've seen, it's been a really long while since we've actually had a marital spat between Marge and Homer. And I don't know if it was just the writers were like, hey, you know what? It has been a bit. Let's introduce a little bit more drama into the show. I think that might have been kind of where they were going with it. Hey, do you like Cards Against Humanity?
I sure do.
Well, what if you could play Cards Against Humanity Simpsons style?
That would be amazing.
Well, now you can. Check out cardsagainstthesimpsons.com to buy your very own set of Simpsons Against Humanity.
You know, I see a lot of podcasts give out discount codes. Is there a promo code I could use?
There sure is. Use promo code SimpsonsPod. That's SIMPSONSPOD to receive a 10% discount on Cards Against Humanity, the Simpsons way.
Ay caramba, that's a good deal. But for all of our listeners out there, if you want a better deal, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to get a different promo code to save even more.
That is correct. So head over to Facebook, the Simpsons Did It page, Instagram, Simpsons Did It Pod, and Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC to get that code. And as always, everything's coming up Millhouse. So we get back home and Homer is packing his duffel bag, which, hey, to be fair, so Homer just drinks a lot. We had a lot of alcohol-sponsored products in our home because our father and grandfather ran a liquor distributing business, and we had jackets, duffel bags, lighters, glasses. I have Canadian Club whiskey. I have Canadian Club whiskey golf balls and golf clubs. So
I know our parents still have the Malibu cups.
Oh yeah,
the yellow ones.
So we know Homer's plight with all this alcoholic.
I kind of wish our mom didn't get rid of all that stuff though.
I know. So then the doorbell rings and the babysitter shows up and Marge says the last name Simpson, and she's trying to place when she was last there. And so Bart shows up and asks her if she's come back for more. And so now she gets the flashback. So the babysitter arrives to watch the kids and remembers the earlier experience as a diapered Bart chases her down with a car when Bart meets her at the door and asks, come back for more, eh?
And I love it because this is a reference to The Omen, that flashback.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. And then she just splits. She's like, they've lived in this house for how long? So remember when we see the Bart gets born and Lisa gets born episode, they're actually living in the apartment somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe, and Bart is in so they were, the shot was at their house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was in a diaper.
Okay. So she wouldn't remember the house she's ever been at babysitting. I guess if she babysits a lot of kids, but
I think you would remember that.
Yes. The house, the car sitting out front, Bart.
But here's the thing. Maybe when they hired the babysitter, they didn't give a last name because as we saw in the Babysitter Bandit episode, they're not allowed to hire babysitters from that service. So maybe they're like, oh, we need a babysitter at this address. And she goes and Marge is like, oh, for Simpson. And that's when she remembered everything. Maybe she thought a different family lived there.
Maybe. But I like how as she's running away, she wakes up Grampa who's napping on the couch. Because apparently he just happened to be there. Was it his week? Or was it his like Sunday of the month?
But here's the thing. It had to have been a Friday because they were taking a weekend retreat.
Oh, right. So Grampa just winds up at the house every once in a while, apparently.
Again, another convenient thing in this episode to drive the B story. And I don't like that kind of stuff. It annoys me. It's just, why is he there? Give me some explanation why Grampa is at the Simpsons house. Obviously, I know he's visiting, but why is he there? Give me a reason other than to drive the plot.
Especially napping on the couch.
Yeah. They're like, the Homer and Marge like, oh, where are we going to get a babysitter? And Bart says he could babysit. And Lisa pleads with him not to put Bart in charge. And, when we were kids, so when you were about 10, I would have been roughly 6. I think mom and dad would have left us home for maybe an hour.
Yeah. Okay.
For you to watch me.
I definitely.
Or a couple. But not an entire weekend.
No, not a weekend. I feel like, well, if it was a weekend and we've done it before.
Just gone to Grandma's.
Exactly. So, I mean, I feel like at 10 or even greater than 10, I watched you for, I think, man, I feel like the last time we had a babysitter during the day was probably around then. At night, it probably stopped around when I was like 12.
Yeah.
Like when they went out for like New Year's or something like that. It was pretty much, okay, we're old enough to go to bed.
And even then, I think starting when I was 10, so you would in a freshman or sophomore in high school, we would go to, friends' houses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, obviously this is a weekend retreat. You can't leave Bart alone with Lisa and Maggie. And Lisa's like, please, dear God, no. So Marge asked Grampa if he can do
something. Yeah.
Marge, Grampa, can you do something? And he's like, I can dress myself. That's good.
That's
he's an old guy.
Classic response.
I mean, I probably would have responded that way. And so Marge asks him if he can watch the kids. And after Grampa's like, oh, I'm the last resort, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll do it. Why did he put up so much of a stink if he was just going to say yes?
Because he's an old guy.
You're not wrong. So then we go outside. Homer and Marge are packing up the car. I like how Homer sneaks his fishing pole and tackle box into the trunk because he wants to go fishing. And so Marge gives Abe some phone numbers to call if anything happens. And Abe is like, I know what I'm doing. She goes, okay. And she says goodbye to Lisa and hands Lisa a number to call if Grampa falls in the bathtub. I like the fact that this is the second time we've heard this response now of, I heard that, because the last time we heard it was where Marge painted Burns' portrait and Bart was like, oh, does he have all those liver spots? And Burns replied, I heard that. I love that so much. Because I've used it. I think we've all used it. And I don't know if I heard it in The Simpsons first or if it's just something in the American lexicon. I don't know, but I love that response.
Especially for old people.
Yeah, especially for old people. So Marge and Homer drive away and Bart looks at Grandpa and he's like, oh, in their rush, Mom forgot to give you this list of things that we're allowed to do and not allowed to do. And Abe is looking through it. And the only thing we hear off that list is that they are allowed to smoke cigars.
Why would even...
I want to know what was on that list.
Well,
what?
Not only that. Okay, I would love to know what was on that list, but what makes Bart think that he can even get cigars, let alone want to smoke them?
Because he thinks they're probably cool.
I mean,
don't forget this was
in
like the maybe, but don't forget this is also early 90s where tobacco companies were still targeting their marketing at like younger people.
Yeah.
So I feel like
so maybe
that
he
would
saw
have
some
an effect.
flavored. Yeah.
Because
And
and not
so
to spoil
yeah.
anything, but in the next episode, we do see something with cigarettes aimed at kids. So
Yes. All right, so we finally get to Catfish Lake, and Homer pulls into a gas station and asks the gas attendant to fill up the gas tank. Now, I rewound it twice. I didn't.
yeah,
Maybe I was just not maybe tired, maybe whatever. But did you actually see a shot of the gas gauge?
yeah, it was
Like, was there
full.
a shot of the gas? Okay, there was.
Yeah, it
Okay,
was
I
full
didn't. I
because
didn't know. I was
he saw the gas station sold
selling
bait,
tackle.
so he
Yep.
tackle and bait, so he wanted to stop, and so as an excuse, he's like, "Oh, it looks like we're running on empty," but the gas
I
gauge
feel like.
is like 80% full.
Yep, and I'm just kind of mind boggled that Marge didn't be like, didn't we just fill up like 5 miles ago or something
Yeah, and
crazy?
the other thing is, how far away is Catfish Lake to the Simpsons house?
From Springfield. Yep, yeah.
Because we do
That's
see a
another
sign
good
that
question.
says because we do see a sign that says Catfish Lake 8 miles. And there's no
Yep,
way it's like 10
so
miles away. I mean, maybe it is,
yeah,
but
I don't unless Homer was thinking, or maybe Marge didn't know how full his car was, but maybe it was like
yeah,
he just forgot to fill up when he was done for work on Friday night
yeah.
or whatever it was. And so I do like, yeah, the guy puts the thing in and it starts overflowing, which I have never seen that. And I would assume it has to be possible. Or is the little clicky thing on the gas thing, you know how it like stops when your gas tank's full?
Yeah.
Is that an actual preventative measure from those pumps allowing the
So
gas tank
I
to
think
go farther?
so. I don't know much about how gas stations work with their pumps, but this seemed like one of those old timey gas stations where maybe they don't have. I think it's like a sensor.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I normally like when I fill up my gas tank, once the pump stops pumping gas, I'm like, okay, it's full, and I put it away. I know a lot of people will top off their tank, and I've never seen anybody overflow their gas tank. So I don't know if there's like a sensor in like your car that kind of connects to the gas. I have no idea. All I know is I stick the nozzle in, I pull the lever so the gas will come out, I put the lock in place so I don't have to sit there and hold it, and then once it goes click, I'm like, okay, car's full, putting it back. So if anybody knows how pumps at gas stations work, I would love to hear about it.
All right, so he goes into the shop, and the guy at the bait shop is like, "Oh, going to Catfish Lake to catch General Sherman, eh?" And he's like, "What?" And so then he shows a picture of General Sherman, which is just a giant shadow, and it's in reference to a picture of the Loch Ness Monster. And also on the wall, there's a picture of a fisherman with a very large shark he landed in the bait shop. Like he's in the bait shop with the shark. There's also leeches, spelled Leaches, as opposed to leeches, Leeches, for sale, according to a sign.
Interesting. Maybe they just don't know how to spell leeches. Maybe they just misspelled it.
Yeah, it was just weird. Thought I'd point that out for everyone.
Yeah. So now we cut back to I believe it's the grocery store. Or am I a little ahead of myself? No, I'm ahead of myself. Lisa questions Bart if it's right to take advantage of Grampa, and Bart says his gut tells him to bleed him dry. Oh, they were in the car when that took place because they were driving to the grocery store. Then we cut back to the retreat, and Reverend Lovejoy's says, "Oh, 3 couples attending the retreat. Our best turnout yet." Clearly, maybe 2 was before. I feel like Ned and Maude go all the time, so maybe there's just always another random couple there.
Yeah.
So 3. So there, the other couple is John and Gloria, which is a reference to George and Martha from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which I've never watched that. And Gloria.
Well, it's a book.
This is kind of.
It's a book.
Oh, it's a book. I thought it was a movie.
Oh, maybe it is, but it was.
Didn't they turn that into?
Maybe, but it's based on a book.
Well, I've never read the book either. So, and a cool note about John and Gloria. I don't know who voiced John. I'm assuming one of the regular guys. But Gloria is voiced by Julie Kavner, one of the few times in the history of the show. And maybe, I don't know if this is specific to like through season 20 or like even up till now, but it's the few times in the history of the show she has voiced someone other than Marge and her relatives.
Nice.
So Julie Kavner only does Marge and her relatives unless they ask her to do somebody specific, which that's kind of crazy that, because I mean, Hank Azaria does a ton of voices and Shearer does a ton of voices. And I don't know, does Yeardley Smith do a ton of voices, or does she only do like Lisa and Ralph?
Yeah, I think she only does a couple. Yeah.
So, but like there's a few of the voice actors on The Simpsons that do a ton of voices. And the fact that Julie Kavner only voices like a few other characters throughout the history is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Probably also helps with the vocal cords and not straining them.
Well, yeah, as we kind of know, you can talk a lot and your voice tends to change.
Well, we run a podcast, and my other job, I have to talk a lot. So I do a lot of talking during the week. And then I like the fact that there's a plaque above the fireplace that reads, "The buck stopped here." Not "the buck stops here," but "stopped here." So
yeah.
Why? Do they have a buckhead up there, or?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, was there one? I mean, maybe someone stole it.
Maybe. I don't know. It was just kind of a weird plaque to have.
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering, Yeardley Smith just does Lisa Simpson.
Oh, okay.
So
I wonder if she's voiced anybody else.
At least at the printing of my book, no.
Okay.
The Flanders are at the tree because Ned is upset that Maude underlines passages in his Bible because she can't find hers. Now, to be fair, I have heard like Catholic families, like everyone has their own Bible.
Really?
Yep. Now, I do like, so Maude is just underlining passages in his Bible. I feel like they should be kind of on the same page, or maybe there's just something that she likes about the Bible that Ned doesn't like about the Bible. But how many Bibles do you need? Like, I feel like, okay, if you've read it once, you should have like underlined everything necessary the first time, or maybe the second time.
I mean, I think there's quite a few Catholic, anybody who's Christian, probably who reads the Bible, they probably read it a few times through every couple of years. Because I know we both have the Talmud, which is the Old Testament that we got when we had our bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
So we both have our own book
Yep.
of the Old Testament. I'm pretty sure Mom has hers. I think Mom still has hers. I don't know if Dad still has his.
Yep.
So maybe even Rod and Todd have their own Bibles.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
And I don't know why Maude doesn't steal theirs.
Yeah, right. So after the Flanders talk about their quote unquote problems, Homer or Reverend Ledger is like, okay, Homer, what's wrong with Marge? What are her faults? And Homer literally can't come up with anything because he thinks Marge is perfect. And then he says, "Oh, she could be annoying sometimes," which that's definitely not something you want to say. You can come up with a fault of some kind, but just
annoying is not a fault.
No, just to blatantly say annoying, that's bad. And so now we get to the list. Marge's list. All right, so he is so self-centered. He forgets birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, both religious and secular. He chews with his mouth open. He gambles, which I mean, maybe the track, but that's, I don't really think we ever see him go to the track.
No, we do. That's when they get Santa's little helper.
So he went once because Barney told him to. I mean, that's about it.
Maybe.
He hangs out at a seedy bar with bums and lowlifes. Fair. He blows his nose on the towels and puts them back in the middle. Well, you don't want the one to be on the top to wipe your hands and face on. He drinks out of the carton.
But you did skip something. Homer interrupted her at that point and said, "I only did that a couple of times."
Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then so we'll cut here. And so we see Bart and Lisa in the the grocery store, and Lisa grabs 4 different flavors of ice cream, and then
it was like chocolate chip. I should have written them down, but I didn't.
Yeah, but there was a lot of ice cream for some crazy reason. But then we get a shot over Lisa's shoulder, and you actually see the real shopping list that says broccoli, carrots, low-fat milk, yogurt, and fruit.
That seems pretty healthy.
Yeah. And then as they're pulling away from the ice cream station, you see Bart is smoking a cigar while grocery shopping.
I don't think that would be allowed. I mean, granted, this is 92, but a kid probably wouldn't be allowed to smoke a cigar in the grocery store.
Yeah, no. Or anyone for that matter, let alone a 10-year-old. All right. Correct. So then we get back to the list, and it's really late at night. So he never changes the baby. When he goes to sleep, he makes chewing noises, which, okay, to be fair, if you're sleeping, people snore. People do weird things in their sleep that's uncontrollable. Yeah, so I think that one could have been left off. When he wakes up, he makes honking noises.
Which again, I feel like when you wake up, you do weird and strange things that normally are just habits.
Yep. And he scratches himself with his keys. Come on, that's gotta be comfy.
With your keys, though?
Okay, now is she referring to his crotch, his arm, back?
Yeah, we don't know what she's referring to.
Okay, if I have a really bad itch, I'm going to use an object of some. Why do they make back scratchers for a reason? Maybe his keys were the only thing. Yeah, maybe his keys were the only thing available at the time, and he thought it felt really good. I guess that's it. Oh, no, wait. He kicks me in his sleeve, and his toenails are too long and yellow. Now, okay. This last one I can relate to because
does she kick you in her
sleep? She kicks me in my sleep. And every once in a while, okay, now to be fair, when she kicks me in her sleep, it's mostly like her heel. But if I actually kick her in the sleep, sometimes I do get her with my toenail. And sometimes when I don't cut them, they are a little bit long. So it's kind of a flip side. And I like how everyone's tired.
Yep.
And Marge just looks beat after this giant list, which it didn't take me that long to read it. So depending on when they actually started, it obviously interrupted the luau that they were supposed to have.
I was going to say, we probably didn't hear everything Marge said.
Yes. And so the clock reads 9:30 and Reverend Lovejoy's like, okay, I guess we missed the luau.
Oh my God. That must have been I would like to know. I should have gone back and seen what time they started the retreat.
Started the retreat? Maybe we saw the clock. I don't know, but I don't think we saw a shot of the clock when Marge started her list.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we first, they start talking about the couples, I don't know what time, we don't know what time they got there. I mean, maybe there's a clock what time they started, but I mean, I have a feeling it was probably like an hour that Marge was just listing off of Homer's faults.
And I like how Homer was like asleep almost at the end of it too. Like he's like, okay, you know what? I'm a crappy person. I'm just going to take a nap.
Yeah. So after all that, we cut back to the Simpsons house and we see McBain on television because who doesn't love watching McBain?
And obviously, since Bart and Lisa are in charge of Grampa this weekend, they can watch whatever they want. And I know our grandparents wouldn't let me watch whatever I wanted. Now, my bubby, she once tried to, she let me pick out a movie from the video store, and it was the original Batman. So it was the Michael Keaton Batman. We got to the scene where it was almost like the very first scene where some person on the street's getting robbed and Michael Keaton flies. Yeah. And she was like, nope, no more, too violent.
How old were you?
I mean, Batman came out in 89, so that puts me at 6.
Well, you would have been 6. So, but it would. Did you pick it out in 89 though?
No. I mean, it would have been on DVD or not DVD at that VHS at that point. So probably 90, 91. So that might put me at 8 or 9. 8. Yeah, 7, 8, or 9. So I could see how that might have been too violent for me. But I saw Batman and was like, I want to watch Batman, and and I never got to watch the whole thing that night.
Oh, well, because how old were we? So I remember, when did Jurassic Park come out? 94?
93.
93, so you would have been 10. So I remember when Dad took you to see Jurassic Park, because I wanted to see it with
yeah.
you guys. And Mom took me to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
That makes complete sense. Those ages fit. But no.
Well, I was 6, but I wanted to go see the dinosaurs.
Well, who doesn't? And watch them eat people. That's the best part.
So McBain's got supervisors yelling at him about using a bigger gun, and he goes, "We can go buy the book." And McBain shoots the book and says, "Buy book."
Well, that thing's a cannon. So, he's got to use it.
Oh my god, I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger reference of McBain.
Yep,
it cracks me up. So they click it off, and Grampa goes, "Okay," and Bart goes, "Time to go to bed, Grandpa." And Grandpa's just like, "Okay," and hangs his head because he was trying to get the kids to go to bed because it was late. And Bart's like, "No, it's time for your bedtime. We get to stay up." And so and as we'll learn in towards the end of the episode, I won't go. Anyways, so we cut back to the retreat, and Homer wakes up at 5 o'clock, and he stops his alarm from going off to wake up Marge.
That's pretty damn good, man. I don't think your internal clock is that good that you could do that.
I mean, maybe he wasn't sleeping well. Maybe he was just so excited to go fishing.
Maybe.
And so, but Marge wakes up anyways, which, to be fair, he probably, shook the bed. And
well, they were at a crappy cabin.
Yeah. And I did write really, but after thinking about it, okay, Marge maybe woke up because maybe she's a light sleeper. And so she's yelling at him about going fishing. And she's like, "You're thinking about fishing right now, aren't you?" And Homer looks at her and she turns into a catfish.
Yep. And I do like Homer's always like, out at 5, catch General Sherman at 5:30, clean him at 6, eat him at 6:30, back in bed by 7 with no incriminating evidence. The perfect crime.
2 hours to catch a fish, gut it, clean it, eat it, fry it up and eat it. That big of a fish? I don't think so.
But remember, I think we'll get it when he gets to the fish, but I feel like he was just surprised at the size of it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely surprised. Like he thought it was just a joke or a wives' tale. And maybe he just thought it was like a big catfish, not a humongous giant catfish.
So Homer's like, "Fine, I won't go fishing," and he can't sleep. And he's like, he asked Marge if he could go for a walk, and she's like, "Fine." So he goes for a walk, and there's some kid fishing. He's got his fish. He's leaving, and Homer goes, "Hey kid, you left your fishing pole." And Homer grabs it to give it back to the kid. And wouldn't you know it, something tugs on the line, pulls Homer down the pier into a boat and into the lake. That fish Homer weighs 239 pounds. That fish probably has to be like 600 pounds. And like, it had like, to pull 239 pounds is not a freaking easy feat, especially if there's any resistance, which I'm sure there was. That's got to be, now when we see the fish, I don't think it's that big. So
it's pretty damn big.
But he gets it in the boat. It fits in the boat pretty well. He doesn't seem to be the size of Homer, and that fish needs to be like twice the size of Homer to pull him into the lake.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was just a really strong catfish. We don't know what his workout regimen is. I mean, we see like 280-pound weightlifters pull trucks. We don't know what his workout regimen is.
It's a catfish.
Exactly. We don't know what his workout regimen is. So then we cut back to the kitchen, and Bart is shaking, and this so reminded me of Fry drinking coffee at Futurama. So when Grampa asked Bart if he's sure that they're allowed to drink coffee, caffeine-addled Bart explodes. For the last time, yes.
What's it? There's like an old wives' tale that says like if you drink coffee when you're young, you won't grow.
Yeah,
I think that's a myth.
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily know. So Bart calls Milhouse and says, "Hey, we're gonna have a party at the house." And Milhouse calls someone, and if someone else calls someone, and gets down the line, and we get our first appearance of Snake Jailbird. And he doesn't get his name until season 3. So spoiler alert.
Yep.
And I like how he says he gets out at noon and is invited to a party.
Already.
I mean, the stay at Springfield Penitentiary must not be that long.
Well, we also don't know how long he's. Well, I guess he was marking the days on the cell, and it looked like 20-ish days. I think he had 2 rows of five fives, and then another 5 fives, or 4 fives. No, 40 days. Sorry, I think there was 4 fives and 4 fives. Okay. So he's there a little over a month.
All right.
Now, granted, he doesn't it doesn't seem like he kills anybody. It seems like he's always doing petty crime. So that probably fits.
Yeah.
Although I guess the more crime you do, the longer you stay in jail.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right. So we get to see the party start, and Bart throws the rager while Grampa's in the shower. Because that's the best time.
How long was Grampa in the shower? Because everybody was there.
Well, they all just wandered in all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so we get Lisa downstairs kind of now she kind of hits it. It kind of hits her that they're throwing this party and things are going horribly wrong. The house is getting destroyed. And, Lisa laments that they set back the children's rights movement for decades to come. Obviously, because
what rights do children have? Children don't have any rights. You get the right.
I think it's more the trust thing. So kids can pretty much get away with a lot of things, up to a certain point. You know what I mean? Like to a certain point, they can do stuff, and they just went over and above. So basically, I think what she's saying is grown-ups will never trust them again.
Yeah.
And then at the party, Nelson is in the background dunking kids' faces in brown goop.
Oh yeah.
So could have been ice cream, could have been purple goop. Who knows?
Well, they bought all that ice cream.
Yeah. So Nelson is being a jerk, and
but he is a jerk.
He is. And so I like how we get into the kitchen, and Grampa's yelling at the kids to stop breaking things, and Nelson's on the floor lighting Grampa's feet on fire, and Grampa asks, "Oh, do you want me to take off my belt?" And Nelson's like, yeah. And so he takes off his pants in his face shop. And now this is kind of the first instance of Nelson's catchphrase, but it's not the ha ha that we're used to. It's actually, he was like, ha ha ha, like three ha's, and they weren't in his standard ha ha order. Exactly. So we'll get to that soon. But I think they were kind of testing the waters. I think that's kind of what this episode was, because we really haven't seen much of Nelson aside from the bully fight.
Yeah.
In Bart the General, we really haven't seen much of Nelson. And so this is his first instance of doing something like this.
Yeah. So we cut back to the retreat, and before the Rager, when they go, I do like watching this episode now on Disney Plus, because it actually had, I don't know if they've listened to any of our episodes, but there seemed to be a little bit more black in between, where the commercial breaks normally were. I noticed that, there was a good 5 seconds of black in between the cutscenes, which I like, so I can follow along. And so Marge had actually seen Homer out on the lake, and she was disgruntled by it. So now we cut back, and Homer's fighting with General Sherman. He's like, "I'm going to get you." And he finally catches him. And as when he's, bashing him in the head with one of his paddles, he goes, "I love you, but I have to kill you." And this is all based on Santiago's fight with the Marlin in Ernest Hemingway's novel, The Old Man and the Sea, which I've never read. And also, the battle between Homer and General Sherman is reminiscent of Captain Ahab's battle with the white whale Moby Dick in the novel Moby Dick. And that I have actually read, and it's a very good book. And yes, it's very reminiscent of that battle. So nice. I like the literary references they do sometimes if I've actually read the book.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice that they're going with some literary moments this episode, as opposed to all the movie moments we've seen in books past or episodes past.
Yeah. So he caught General Sherman. We cut back to the house, and Grampa's on the couch. He's just bawling his eyes out. And Bart goes to Lisa, and he's like, he feels really bad. And she's like, that feeling you have is remorse. He's like, well, how do I make it go away? Just grab a bucket and clean like you've never cleaned before. And we cut back to Grampa, and he's not really he's fake crying. So why did he if he knew the children were behaving badly, why did he let it get this far?
Well,
why did he just not put a stop to it?
I mean, as an old person, I don't know if it was just himself or not, but I do like the fact that he figured out a way to end it. Like, he was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to act busted and broken down, and then, they'll stop acting so childish. And obviously it worked. They're starting to clean up.
So we cut back to Homer, and he's singing, I am the champion instead of we are the champions, but it's we are the champions instead of we, him, I. And Marge is standing on the pier, and Marge is like, oh, you're so selfish. You went fishing and I told you not to. And really, Homer didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident that he went fishing.
To be fair, though, he could have just let the rod go after he got in the boat. But his mind took over.
But and I thought you were going to say he didn't have to pick up the rod, but I was going to say, oh, he was trying to be nice and give it back.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have to. I mean, picking up the rod's fine, but as soon as the fish pulled him into the middle of the lake, he could have been like, oh, I got a place to be. But nope, his brain was like, oh my God, I actually have General Sherman on the line.
So
and I'm going to take him down.
So Marge is like, you won't even throw him back. And Homer is like, I will throw this back. And he throws General Sherman back. And then he's like, I gave up fame and breakfast for my marriage.
Fame and breakfast.
Because he was going to eat General Sherman.
Yep. And one thing I did really like is, so as he's singing, I am the champion. And I do like the song plus him pulling into the dock as of the world. And it kind of slows to a stop at the end of him singing. That was just really cool. That was like a well-timed shot.
While Homer and Marge are reconciling in the boat, General Sherman pops out of the water and winks at the camera. And series creator Matt Groening later expressed an objection to the ending with him jumping out of the water and winking, believing it to be overly cartoony. And you know what? I agree. I don't think they really needed to do that. I think that was a little
really been alive. Would he really been alive? He was in the boat for how long? Fish can't live out of water.
Yeah, they can.
Not for that long. Well, I guess I don't know how long it took Homer to row to shore, but
yeah. I mean, I think he probably still would have been alive. I mean, if you had him doing the dolphin jump, he just jumps out of the water and jumps back in, I think that would have been fine. But the whole fact where he jumps out, winks at the camera, and dives back in, I agree with Groening. I feel like that was unnecessary. I don't think it really needed to be there. I think maybe, or you just have him swim by, at the top. You kind of see his fin at the top.
Yeah.
But I don't think you needed to do that.
Yeah.
So then we get back to Bart and Lisa cleaning up the house, and we see footprints on the ceiling. And this is the first time it has happened where we see footprints on the ceiling. Spider pig.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that one.
Yeah.
And I really kind of wish we would have seen something where Bart would have said, how did these feet get on the ceiling or something?
I feel like during the party you see somebody holding somebody up to the ceiling and walking.
Oh, do you? Okay, I guess I must have missed that.
Yeah.
All right. So Bart, so then we get Homer and Marge walk in, we're all better. We're great. And, then we kind of get Grampa walking in, and he's like, this is how everything ended, because I was fake crying. Well, I could turn it on and off. And then I like how he just wanders down the street. I'm out. All right, I played my part for this episode. I'm done. And I like how Bart is, I know. And I like how Bart says he'll never trust another old person again. I mean, to be fair, as a kid, you kind of can't trust old people. And then the final shot of the episode, we get back to the bait shop, and a guy walks in. He's like, "Oh, you're here to catch General Sherman." And he's like, "Oh, has anyone ever caught him?" He's like, "Yep." And so he's like, he's 7 feet tall. with arms like tree trunks, and his eyes were like steel, cold and hard. Had a shock of hair, red like the fires of hell.
Yeah, Homer became a legend. Somehow he got hair.
Yes. Well, I mean, as a bait shop owner, you have to pump up your tales of woe for people to go out there and catch General Sherman.
Yeah. Yes, you do. So I enjoy this episode. There's, the whole Grampa just randomly appearing out of nowhere. Some of the, we're gonna do a couples retreat to advance the story. I'm not a big fan of like just convenience in a TV show. It just seemed really and again in the cabin when Homer wakes up and he makes sure the alarm doesn't wake up Marge, and Marge still wakes up. But it's still a good episode. It's got a lot of laughs. The jokes really hit. It's not one of those episodes where it starts out one way and ends a completely different way. It had a nice flow to it. I'm going to give it a 4 sprinkles. Just overly well done. The one thing I could have done without was General Sherman winking at the end there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this episode just seemed, just not my cup of Simpson episode. I liked it. I mean, there were funny jokes. We got a lot of past references, which was kind of cool. So we can kind of see the continuity almost in the show. But I'm going with a Don't Have a Cowman, a 3. I mean, it's just one of those episodes where I kind of mentioned it during the show. We've seen it before. We've seen the marital trouble, but I feel like Homer being drunk and the ass that he made of himself, I could see Homer doing that several times and not necessarily seeing. Yes, it happened at a fancy party and stuff, and it just Homer's drunkenness just seemed kind of outrageous for what is he, 40?
He's 38.
Was that what he was?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, I don't know. I'm 37. I don't have party ragers like this, but Homer's kind of a crazy adult.
He's an alcoholic.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the parts that I liked and the parts that I like, the General Sherman chunks, I love those. I like the lore of General Sherman and Homer wanting to do it, and Bart taking over Grampa's trust during the episode. That stuff was really funny, but the overall just kind of put togetherness of the episode, I don't know. It's one of these episodes that I'd watch when it was on, but it's not one that I turn off because I just don't feel like. There's certain episodes that you'll watch when it's on. Some episodes you'll watch all the time and go out of your way to watch. And then there's episodes that you'll just turn off when you see the first 10 seconds of it because you're like, it wasn't that great and I don't really want to watch it. So it's kind of in the middle of the road for me. So that's why I'm going to go with the 3.
Okay.
All right. So as always, let's finish off with our character profile. And we're going with the legendary General Sherman. And what is General Sherman? He is a freakishly big catfish.
Freakishly.
I don't think I've ever seen a fish that's not a shark that's this big, and I've seen some pretty big sharks or fish. His age, 100 years old if he's a day.
Actually, I kind of wonder how long catfish lives.
I don't know. I mean, my fish in my tank only live about 6 years, so I guess I don't know what the average fish lifespan is, but I know some sharks can live up to 100 years old. So
a Wells catfish can live up to 60 years.
So this is a freakishly old, freakishly large fish.
Yeah.
All right. His weight upwards of 500 pounds.
And that's not even. And this was back 4 years ago. Somebody caught a catfish in the Mississippi River that was 736 pounds.
All right. So General Sherman is not as legendary as we so thought.
Yes.
He resides in Catfish Lake, which the abruptly named Catfish Lake because catfish live in there.
Yeah.
His sport of choice competes with wives for their husband's time. Which, as we know, a lot of people have attempted to catch General Sherman over the years. So
correct.
I guess we don't know how many of those marriages have ended, but he does tend to take up people's times and livelihoods.
Yes.
All right, guys, this has been fun. So where can everyone find us? So you can find us on Facebook, the Simpsons Did It page, podcast page. You can find us on Instagram, the Simpsons Did It pod. You can follow us on Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. We're available on YouTube. You just search the Simpsons Did It podcast, filter by channel. You can find us on there. Make sure you guys do subscribe, because
once we get to 100,
we can get our own page
URL.
Yeah. So one last thing I'd like to mention for all of our fans out there, and I've already mentioned it a couple times on Facebook, but this will be the first podcast where I'll mention it. So I started a funding page for us, for all of our fans, to support our podcast so we can do things in the future, like have merchandise, games, prizes, just all around extra content for you guys. And it's at a website called buymeacoffee.com, and it's / Simpsons Did It. So you can head over there. All you have to do is, it's not a membership. Once we get merchandise and stuff like that, we'll probably start it. But right now, this is just to support us, a one-time payment. You can do 5, 10, 15, whatever you want to donate to our podcast. You can just head over there. Simpsons Did It on buymeacoffee.com. And just for the fun of it, I changed our title page to "You Can Now Buy Me a Duff," because
nice.
Why not? You can buy us beer too. We don't have any trouble with that. But if you love our content and love what we're doing and want to see more from us, make sure to head over to buymeacoffee.com / Simpsons Did It. And like I said, you could give us whatever you want. It's not a membership. It's not monthly. Eventually we will have that. But yeah, go over there and support what you love. Yep. All right. So until next time, I'm Steven Sklansky.
I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.